Not exactly hidden. I'm sorry. You're doing what? She demands her visitors. Although there are many other words she'd use to describe the battle princess and goddess be-damned sorcerer that's come to visit her. Her secretary is going to need a few days off to deal with the fact that she was clearly having a minor breakdown in the next room. We're uprooting the Orega girls and have found several bank owners in your area have been money laundering for them. We've questioned one and investigated the others. We need a few trumped-up minor charges to make this all look like a small power play on your personal part so the whole nest of scum doesn't scatter like insects caught in the light, the princess says. She's a touch intimidating in her night black dress with onyx gemstones so loosely tied that they're threatening to fall off. An outright dare for someone to try something. Thankfully, few people are so stupid. Yet the sorcerer is what really has her startled. He's in a cross between an outfit out of a legend and some kind of hard-wearing survival gear. Tough pants in a pattern to blend into the background of a forest, thick and strong boots and a comfortable jacket over all of it. Yet there are vines intertwined all over it, flourishing, blooming and writhing ever so slightly, like serpents waiting to strike. I see, and what benefit is this to me? She asks. If they want a favor, they'd better offer up something. You get to clear out scumbags that are victimizing your people on the absurdly cheap, making you even more popular and actually having something to say when some belligerent demands to know by what right you rule. The sorcerer says, and in spite of his power, she feels her tail twitch in frustration. I rule by the right of blood. It's not for those beneath me to question it. She almost spits out at the impertinent alien that was outright wearing the dark forest as part of garb. Clearly, a sorcerer or not, it is not for an alien to question the way things are done upon Cerbo. The right of blood only goes unquestioned so long as yours doesn't paint the walls, and being a good ruler that looks out for her people's interest makes such a scenario less likely. He answers, after all, those who justify their rule by bloodshed can lose it the same way. Are you threatening me? She demands, rising up in the princess in black sighs. Not the most diplomatic, are you, Brandon? She says disapprovingly. I'm being plenty diplomatic. She's looking for a fight. He replies, looking back at her. Look, Countess Vin, we're taking care of a very expensive problem that has at least partially been targeting you and your territory. All we ask from you is to lie out of the corner of your mouth in a manner that stands to make you a little bit of extra money as we go after this issue. In the end, you generate some extra tax revenue and you get rid of numerous bad actors in your lands. How is any of that objectionable? The idea that you can act with impunity in my lands. I am Countess Vin. My line dates back to the Dark Ages before unification and has held these territories since. We were contenders for the imperial throne, and it was only an accident of fate that you do not speak to the Empress of Cerbo, she announces, and Brandon gives Barry Thin a sideways look. The princess's outfit was a veil away from being a morning gown, and the woman in question was very much the type to stick in the background until something needed to happen. Is this the point we tie her up and send out a few communications in her name? He whispers to her through the tiny twist of root that she had agreed to be placed in her ear. She simply shakes her head. I have never, nor has my line ever been so insulted as to have one of the Empress's thugs come in here with her alien pet and try to push me around. Countess Vin starts ranting as Brandon mentally starts planning exactly how to take down the belligerent. Countess Vin, need I remind you that as a battle princess in good standing that I am part of the Empress's personal army and therefore considered an extension of her will? Barry Thin asks, and apparently it was the wrong thing to say as Vin sucks in a deep breath and seems to outright inflate in her increasing fury. I'm not allowed to stage a coup. I'm not allowed to stage a coup. I'm not allowed to stage a coup. Brandon starts chanting in his mind as what was supposed to be the easy and boring part of his day quickly grows into a frustrating mess that has him wondering exactly how well trained this noble-blooded bitch is, and how little bulletproof that would make her. And that is why you will both be leaving. Out, 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 Countess Vin orders, and with a sigh, Barry Thin leaves even as Brandon raises an eyebrow and simply vanishes with a strange, woodsy feel to the axiom. Oh, sorry. He apologizes to the secretary, who's already ducked under her desk. I swear to God, I mean you no harm. Perhaps saying that will only make things worse instead of better? Barry Thin asks as she emerges from the Countess's office. Likely, people can take anything as a threat, up to and including an assurance that you're not trying to threaten them. Brandon notes as he leans away and then matches Barry Thin's stride. So, local authorities are pretty damn hostile. Do you have any ideas? Do you? She volleys the question right back even as they exit into the hallway. I've been ordered directly that I'm not to knock over the local political structures for my own convenience or entertainment. Entertainment? She asks delicately, and he shrugs. We all have our own hobbies, he replies as he runs a hand through his hair. Okay, so Countess Vin is tripping too much on her own power to be of use. What about her family? Think one of her nieces or her daughters would be of use? I thought you just said that you weren't supposed to knock over local political structures. A coup would certainly fall into such. Maybe, but You're right. I apologize. I can get vindictive at times, Brandon remarks as he thinks. Still, this whole area is a mess. The coastal regions lost their biggest claim to power when contact with the rest of the galaxy was made some few thousand years ago and have been bitter ever since. The pastime of most royals is saber-rattling and trying to goad their neighbors into attacking them and giving them all the justification for a ground war. Every interaction is gone over with a fine-tooth comb just looking for an excuse, and excuses are made up where none are found. Welcome to Cerbo. We have a rich history and warrior culture. We're also casually on the brink of war. And the lid is kept on it by the Empress effectively hogging all the battle princesses and ensuring she casually has an army that can crush half the planet at any given moment. It would take 3/4 of all standing nobles rising up against her all at once to even have a chance of winning a straight-up fight, something encouraged by your culture, and they're borderline genetically predisposed to hate each other with an unreasonable passion. So that almost never happens. It has a few times, however, when it does. The remaining nobles, or the infighting within the aggressors, tear them apart as thoroughly as the battle princesses. This leads to a massive shifting of provincial and country lines. It does. They've learned to stop fairly recently, for now at least, but their inherent belligerence is showing through. Great, just great. Even with the public slam dunk that is, the Empress getting hundreds of sorcerers on her side isn't enough to get the nobles to stop being stupid, Brandon remarks, letting out a huff of air. Okay, so Countess Vin is either too belligerent to be of use or actively opposing us. We need to move around her as we only have a limit of time before we spook the Orega girls. Perhaps that could be used? We'll need some method of tracking one of them that has the clearance to go into the same hiding place as the rest of the higher-end members of the organization. But if we pull it off, we can get a large percentage of them fairly easily. Scare them out and track them to their lair? Might work. We had been hoping to catch them unawares, but that works as well. We just need to figure out exactly what this high level for retreating is and then do something nice and big to spook them into running. After that, we just have to give the location to Bryn Char and everyone walks away happy, Barry Thin says, and Brandon snorts in amusement. Oh fine, everyone capable of walking after he's done will walk away happy. There you go, Brandon says with a grin. Shall we go? She takes his offered hand and things seem to invert as he pulls her back to the wood. It takes a time for them to get everything across, and many of the sorcerers give out dark rumblings about everything from Countess Vin to the very concept of royalty to begin with. Thankfully, no argument breaks out as Bryn Char, Koga, Vernon, and Miro Noir keep everyone on track with the new plan. Mark as many as possible and then give them a good solid scare. See to where the vermin scatter, as there's now little way to conceal things much longer. This brings the subject to the blackmail. With Brandon off with Barry Thin, it was mostly Bryn Char and Dare Char that had been poring over it, mostly looking for something that would hint at the suspected underwater base, but the information had been very well organized. While there were no names, there was a list of cities around the world, a hit list. So this is going to take everyone splitting up to make sure we can mark everyone. We need to know where these rats scatter to, and we need to figure out some big move that will set the entire organization running. That's an easy one. I've been doing some digging myself, Imigar says, looking up from his communicator, which had a copy of some of the files. They seem to have a pretty big shipment going out tomorrow. We hit that publicly and with obvious sorcery, and the whole organization should run to their panic rooms. The Bone Chewer movies may or may not be believed by these people, but the head honchos are likely paranoid enough to have some kind of panic response. Well, our banker had one, and she had plausible deniability about it and everything. If she had one, then we can bet our bottom dollars that the higher-ups have it too, Dale remarks. Still, we need to put something on all of them, something from the woods to track them with. Bryn Char notes, and Vernon thinks before grinning. Beloved, you have the evil smile. Miro Noir chides him, and he winks at her. Because I have an evil idea, my love. Gentlemen, it's time to brush up on medical conditions and a bit of botany. We've worn the woods as armor and wielded it as a weapon. Time to teach our enormous and ancient friend how to be a wart. What? Brandon asks, and Vernon rolls his eyes. A wart is a plant growth under the skin. We just need to give them a wart on the skin or a flicker of mold or spores in the hair and follow those when they scatter. From that moment onwards, we can reach out and touch them no matter where they go. All right. I think you need to brush up a bit, Vernon. I'm pretty sure warts are viral or bacterial in nature, Dale says as he looks over his communicator for confirmation, and Vernon shrugs. Is it a bad idea? Some spores or pollen in the hair or on their clothing? A seed or two stuck in a wallet or pocket, and we can track them down no matter where they go. Vernon asks, and there are nods all around. Just remember that viruses aren't plants, nor are bacteria. Right. Stick to plankton, spores, and algae for going small. Got it, Vernon says as there are some chuckles around. So what's the plan when we scare all the higher-ups to their hole? Bryn Char asks in a seemingly light tone. We use the lightest touch to make sure that there are no innocents involved, and then we let you choose, Duromari says. I've spoken with the Empress. If you want to make your own home movie about what you're doing to them, you may. Wonderful. Now there's only the question as to how to get down there if they have the underwater base. From the looks of things, it's fairly extensive and deep. Oh, I got that, Dad. I'm fully amphibious thanks to Mom, and even beyond that I've got ideas I've been wanting to try, Dare Char remarks with a grin. Wait, you're amphibious, kid? I thought you just really liked the water, Brandon asks. Well, I do and I am, but I prefer salt water. The fresh water of the mountains feels weird on my gills. There's a sort of natural shielding from the salt in salt water, and without it breathing in, water feels off. Dare Char shrugs. It's just me being weird, so I didn't bring it up. To get back on track, we need a way to publicly drop a transport ship with sorcery that doesn't cause too much collateral, and we need to get a strain of the wood we can hide on people, all before tomorrow, Koga says, and people begin brainstorming.